Unit 3. What will be, will be. Unit 3, pages 18 and 19. Look and listen. A vision of the future.
The French writer Jules Verne wrote several books in the late 1800s. In them, he wrote about the future. He asked, what will life be like at the end of the 20th century, 100 years from now? In one of his adventure novels, his characters traveled to the moon in a rocket. In another novel, his characters dove in the depths of the ocean in a submarine in the shape of a whale. In a novel titled Paris in the 20th Century, Verne described a city with skyscrapers of glass and steel, high-speed trains, gas-powered automobiles, and a global communications network. Space rockets, submarines, and the other objects didn't exist in Verne's time, but many of the inventions in his novels became reality by the end of the 1900s. That's why people call Verne a visionary. Here are ideas people have about life in the 21st century. In your opinion, which things do you think will probably come true? There will be fewer diseases, and life expectancy will be 90 to 100 years. By the year 2100, people will be working 4 hours a day and will retire at the age of 50. People will have more free time and will be traveling to other planets on vacation. People won't have any privacy because computers will monitor their lives. The world will be at peace and everyone will be speaking Chinese. Robots will do all the housework in the home, and they will perform most of the work in factories and offices. All the traffic will be in the air. Your idea.
Drink Vitanol. You'll look just as young at 100 as when you were 50.
Please fasten your seatbelts. We'll be departing for Mars shortly.
Will you fill her up with H2O?
We're having friends for dinner. We're going to eat around 9. Will you please make your special recipe code number 3465?
Unit 3, page 19, part 2. Pair work. A. Ask and answer about life in the year 2100. Use information in the presentation. Give your own ideas.
What will people's lives be like in the year 2100?
People will live longer. The life expectancy will be 90 to 100 years.
What changes will there be in the world in the year 2100?
I think there won't be any more cars. People will travel in the air, not on the ground.
B. Express your opinions about the future. It's the year 2025.
What will your life be like in the year 2025?
I'll be working as a computer programmer, and I'll be traveling a lot around the world.
Will life be better or worse in the year 2025?
The way I see it, life will be easier, but people's feelings and hopes will be the same.
Unit 3, page 22, part 5. Listening. Listen to the principal's speech and complete the chart about the student's past and future.
Today is a very important day for all of you. It marks the end of your high school days and the beginning of a new life. From here, some of you will go off to college, and others will be starting jobs. I've known you all through high school, and some of you I've known since kindergarten, when you were only 6 years old. Jimmy Leach, no one could run like you in school races. You became a really good athlete, and I'm sure you're going to make a fine physical education teacher when you finish college. Miriam Walker, you always had to prove your point, and you could argue your point giving a lot of good reasons. I'm certain you're going to be a successful lawyer, and I wish you the best of luck at college and then law school. Jeff Brown, you always had great musical talent. and you truly deserve that scholarship for the Academy of Arts. Our school orchestra is going to miss you. We're going to lose our first violinist temporarily. I say temporarily because in the future, we'll probably be listening to you playing with a famous symphony orchestra. Sarah Miller, you were always busy raising money and working for some cause or other. You'll be a wonderful social worker. I could spend the morning talking about the students I've had the privilege of knowing, but time is short, and we need to get on with the ceremony. Before I finish, there's something I want to say. Whatever road you may take, I'm sure you'll always remember the days you spent at Riverside High. The friends you made and the good times you had are things you will never forget.
Unit 3, page 22, Part 6. Pronunciation. Listen and practice. Note the words that are not usually stressed.
In a century. And, young and old. Can, cars can fly. 2, 5 to 8. Was, it was late. Of, the car of the future.
Unit 3, page 23, Part 8. Conversation.
Will you tell us about the new intelligent home your company has built? It promises to be a model for the houses of the future.
Certainly. The idea is not to have a house full of gadgets. This is a complete household system. It will make people's lives easier.
Okay, so tell me how this house will make my life easier.
When you arrive at the front door, you won't need a key. The door will open with a touch of your finger. The system recognizes your fingerprint. You'll be able to call your refrigerator when you're in the supermarket and find out how much milk you still have and figure out how much you need to buy. Isn't that wonderful?
Can I call the washing machine as well?
Sure, but you won't need to. The house comes with a robot. Greaves has been programmed to do the cleaning, the washing, and the ironing.
What about household problems?
Well, if a pipe bursts, the house will call the plumber. And if there's a fire, the house will turn on the fire extinguishers automatically and call the fire department.
And what's the price of this intelligent home?
$1 million.
$1 million! It will be the 22nd century before I'll be able to afford to buy one.
Unit 3, page 24, Part 10. Reading. The Beatles.
The four lads, boys from Liverpool, John, Paul, George, and Ringo, revolutionized music in the 60s and influenced the behavior and thought of a whole generation. John Lennon and Paul McCartney wrote music that people have been playing and enjoying for over 30 years. Rolling Stone magazine and MTV both considered Yesterday, one of the Beatles' songs, one of the most beautiful pop songs of all times. But will people be playing their songs in 200 years? Will the Beatles be remembered in the future as important composers of all time, along with classical composers like Mozart and Beethoven? Paul McCartney will probably wonder, "Will you still love me, will you still hear me?" in 2204.
End of Unit 3. Expansion 1, pages 26 and 27. Reading. Decorating the body.
Do you notice people on the street with brightly colored red or blue hair, or people on the beach with pictures or patterns painted on their bodies? You might think that these are the latest trends. Well, think again. People have used color decoration on their bodies for a long, long time. In fact, recently, scientists have found the remains of a culture that dates back 80,000 to 100,000 years in a cave on the southern part of South Africa. In this cave, called Blombos Cave, they found some of the oldest tools of stone and bone. But more important, they found a lot of ochre, a red-colored iron ore. Scientists say that some pieces of the ochre look like crayons for drawing. Most scientists think that prehistoric people used the pieces of ochre to draw symbolic decorations on their bodies. Some scientists think that people painted their bodies to be attractive to members of the opposite sex. Scientists can also trace makeup back 10,000 years to ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians used to grind colored stones, like green malachite, into powders that they rubbed on their eyelids. Both men and women used this eye makeup to be more attractive. More than 1,000 years ago, the ancient Celts in Britain dyed their hair with bright colors, most often red, but sometimes bright blue. Some of these ancient traditions continue into the 21st century. People in some cultures use them for special occasions. In the West African nation of Niger, a group of nomads have a kind of beauty contest that extends for 1 week every year. Males paint their faces with bright makeup and wear elaborate costumes. They draw bright lines down their noses and paint patterns of white dots on their cheeks. They are judged on looks and personality by women from neighboring groups. In other cultures, the use of body painting is a bit more serious, and it sometimes marks passages in an individual's life. In India and Pakistan, the use of henna, a plant that is able to dye any surface, is common for rituals before marriage. Brides' hands are painted with beautiful patterns in henna. The body painting marks the woman as special. In New Zealand, the indigenous people, the Maori, have long used facial tattoos to show which community they belong to and their place in that community. Tattooing is adding permanent color to the skin by putting pigment under the skin or by cutting the skin to make scars. The traditional Maori facial tattoos had beautiful curving lines, and some Maoris who want to preserve their heritage still get tattoos today. So, those latest fashions in bright body colors may not be so new after all. They are following traditions that actually date from the earliest humans. The program continues on the next CD.